This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Good day? All right.
Yeah.
Ron Stolski, ladies and gentlemen. No. Hey, you better clap. That's 58 years of coaching in high school football. Ron Stolski, ladies and gentlemen. Can I get a witness?
That's enough. Paul Allen.
No, forget Paul Allen. No, man. I mean, it's 2025. We got to get those heads out of those phones and recognize football immortality here.
Thank you.
58 years, 45 with Brainerd High School, 389 career victories, second most in the history of the state. Oh, now the heads are out of the phones, right? Because getting 38 career victories is hard, and my man got 389. And it's good to see you again, Ron.
Good to see you.
We got Ben Gessling here from the Star Tribune.
We just chatted. I love his columns.
Yep.
And I listen.
He's here to write a story about you.
I listen to you every morning.
You do?
Every morning.
Well, let me know when you're listening so I can clean up my language.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
We did talk once or twice. We talked about Joe Haig at North Dakota State.
Yeah.
We've talked a couple times.
What about Joe Haig a couple of years ago, right before the draft, I think.
So now Ben is the varsity track coach at Apple Valley High School, track and field.
Right.
So let's go God rest the soul of Dark Star. Down memory lane we go. Let's go back to the 60s and 70s and track and field and football. Was there a track and field team when you started? Like, how much did you pull some of the fast guys and make them receiver on your team?
Last year we talked about Kensington. Recall that?
Yeah.
I was there in '62 and was the head track coach, but we did not have a track. We ran around the school.
Yep.
Really?
And we won the district because we had a kid named Daryl Krentz.
Wow.
They were all farm kids, and you would loved him. He was an 800, 200, you name it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you won the shot put every year probably, right? With the farm kids.
Yeah.
Even if you have a track in Minnesota, this time of year, sometimes you still just figure out a place to run around.
So what are we talking, mid-60s here? Early 60s?
That was 62.
Okay, 62. But I just want to reiterate what you just said. Yeah, Paul, I was the track coach, but we didn't have a track.
Right.
We just ran around the school.
We did.
That's awesome.
Well, we didn't have we didn't have goalposts or scoreboard in the football field either.
Right.
We had 13 kids out.
But you had electricity.
But sometimes.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward though to Brainerd.
Yeah.
I came to Brainerd in '75. I opened Park Center in '71 and was there 4 years. And Princeton before that. I guess we're going to talk about that a little bit. Anyway, at Brainerd, I became the AD. I never had an intent to be an AD. I was an English teacher. And anyway, we were building a facility, and I don't know if you've ever been to our facility, Ben.
I don't think I have.
Well, it's absolutely first class.
At Park Center?
No, at Brainerd.
Oh, at Brainerd. Yeah.
I've heard.
And we were a part of building that. And
getting a lot of that Nisswa money. Money trickling up from Onamia.
I had a great friend named Hans-Peter Borgworth who came over here from Germany with $40 in his pocket and became an extremely wealthy man. And he became a friend of mine because it's probably before your time even, Ben.
Okay.
I had read in the paper, I was leaving Park Center to go to Brainerd, and I read that spring in '75, the summer, of a girl named Kathleen Borgworth. They called her the girl with the flying pigtails. And she was a junior hurdler who just set every state record we had. And I wrote her a letter, not even knowing her, nothing, congratulating her, all this. Well, somehow Hans Peter and I became friends, and she had a sister named Nina. That's another story, but incredible female trackers.
Yeah.
In fact, Kathleen went on to be the AD at Green Bay.
Okay.
Well,
anyway,
Ron, how did Hans Peter?
Yeah.
Well, how did he turn? Did he like land at Ellis Island and
well,
did it all start like that?
No. He was, in fact, his father was a Luftwaffe pilot.
Oh.
And Hans,
jeez.
and they were a little bit. Hans, by his own admission, they were a little bit of aristocrats. They had some money. His family did. And so he got educated at certain universities and found out, by the way, coming home, the little village, they lived outside the village, and the village was all aglow and excited. That's how he found out his father had been shot down and killed. But in any case...
World War II?
Yeah. Hans came over here with $40 in his pocket to manage a farm. He was so good at it, he was asked to manage 2, 3, and then pretty soon Jenny O hired him.
Oh, sure.
So Hans lives. Long story to get me to here.
Yeah.
He said to me one day, you were kind of teasing about the money and this on it.
Yeah.
He said, Ron, there's a lot of money in this community.
Yeah.
And I hadn't asked for a thing. He said, you are thinking about a turf field, aren't you? And I said...
You sound like Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes.
I don't mean to do that.
That's okay.
Actually, anyway, I said, how do you know that? I hadn't shared it with a soul. I was trying sort of behind this. I didn't want to go to the school for the fun, so I said, how do you know that, Hans Peter? I haven't mentioned it to a soul. He said, I know how you think.
Wow. He had telepathy.
Anyway.
Yeah, he was telepathic.
That's the money thing.
Ron Stolski, Minnesota high school football coaching. Immortality, Mr. Gessling.
Yeah, Ron, when you're here, you mentioned 58 years coaching. When you're here talking to coaches that are brand new at this, and I guess, where do you see the biggest change from when you started to what these coaches have to do now?
It is so obvious. I mean, it's social media and technology.
Yeah.
As a young coach, I started coaching at 13 years old I lived in North Minneapolis in the park board.
Sure.
And my little brother
coaching
was
little kids
10,
probably, right?
Yeah. And actually we won this at 13. And then anyway. But I had a thirst, and so many of my era did, for knowledge. And we would go to clinics, sleep in the car. I didn't have money.
Yeah.
Eat a bag lunch to listen to Bob Devaney or the great Bear Bryant, all of those things to learn. Well, now, and you know, change is constant.
Yeah.
Compliance is optional, right?
Yeah.
So you just change with the times, and I think the difference is, and I'm frankly not much of a fan of this piece of stuff. The coaches that are constantly seeking via the internet new knowledge, this, that, I believe they get overburdened. I remember telling our staff, we were blessed always with really good coaching staffs. Everywhere I was, and particularly in my last 45 at Brinker. I mean, you ask anybody here and they will tell you we were blessed with really good coaches. But our message was, when we get a young coach coaching with us, don't look for it, it's here. A lot of people talk coaching.
Yeah.
Coaches coach. And now this is this is why it's so much fun for us. We took this over 17 years ago. So much fun for us because look at all the interaction.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, you get that. But
people sitting around talking football.
You talked about the speakers we have. Connecticut, Georgia, Texas. They love coming here.
Right.
They do. Because, as one Texas coach told me about 3-4 years ago, he said, Ron, this is the best. His name was Hal Wasson. He had just won the 6A at South Park, I think it was. He said, this is the best. He said, because we won the state title, I've spoken at about 17 clinics. He said, this is the best one, and I want to tell you why. I said, talk to me, Hal. He said, your coaches go to the sessions and they want to learn. It's not all happening in the bars.
Yeah.
He said, that is so impressive to me. I'll give you a quick story on him. So he said, I'm here because when I listened to his presentation, I'm here to speak on this, but I want to talk about something else. He said, I'm here because we won the state title. My two quarterbacks, one went to Auburn and the other's going to Texas. Okay? But he said, it wasn't always this way. I got this job 3 years ago. It's my first year. I was 9-4, and I got so much grief. I thought, oh my God. He said last year I was 12-2, and a man walked into my office, unannounced, closed the door, and said, "Coach," and he used an expletive, which I won't use. I made $12 million last year, and I'm going to spend every one of it getting you fired.
Wow.
He said, I'm here because we went 14 or 15-0. Otherwise, he said, I wouldn't have had the job.
Yeah. I mean,
but here was his reply.
Was that the father of a child on the team?
I don't think so. Here's what Hal Wasson said.
It's like he didn't get punched in the face. I don't care how much money he has.
No, here's what Wasson said. I'll tell you what. You write me a check for $3 million right now, and I'm out the door. And it just broke the place up, and he said, that's a true story, man.
Yeah, that's so awesome, especially when I would imagine the coaches, this is Ron Stolski with us. He's a yearly guest when we come to the Coaches Association clinics. I would imagine the coaches are in the room, and it's tense. I mean, they're listening, and they want to learn something new, and then somebody gets in there. This guy walked in was like, I'm going to spend all $12 million of it to get you fired. And Hal's like, you give me $3 million right now, and I'll quit. And it breaks up the room, and it makes it easier.
Everybody's ready
to have the hour to learn.
But it's a true story.
Oh, it's brilliant.
High school coaches also do not make six-figure salaries, so I'm sure that probably landed a certain way for a lot of people in that room too.
Ben, it's Ron Stolski.
Yes, it's fun to talk to you.
I do want to correct something, though. I'm not the second winning. I'm the third winningest.
Oh, really?
Dwight Lundeen.
Oh.
Went over 400.
Oh.
And then Mike Malin.
That's Chad Lundeen's uncle.
There.
Yeah, Chad Lundeen works with operations for the Minnesota Vikings, one of the great hockey players in the history of Mankato Mavericks hockey. He's second now, and the Verndale guy still first. Mike Malin. Mike Malin,
But Verndale, it's
wow, they're passing you, Ron.
It's 9 minutes. Well, it's fine.
Well, you're bottom part of the trifecta. Next is bottom part of the superfecta.
I never coached to set a record, but I coached to help kids. So
yeah, for sure.
I did a lot of that.
Okay, well, when it comes to helping kids, there's another side of it, whether it's during the game or decisions that were made at any time over the course of nearly 6 decades of shaping man. Do you look back, does quick twitch, anything hit you? Any, let's just say, questionable decisions you made, say coaching or athletic directing or whatever?
Well, there were some fun ones. But one of the rewards, and any of the veteran coaches will tell you this, and we have young coaches that are making memories and nostalgia. I wrote a column, I think last fall, in the Prep Coach about nostalgia. The season is opening, and every nook and cranny across the state, east, west, north, south. On Friday nights, the lights are heading to the field, and it isn't just the present team. It's the guys that played, and the wives of the guys that played, and a lot of bit of nostalgia settles in. But I also believe that the present team is beginning their own nostalgia journey.
Yeah,
I see one of the great joys is I see so many of our former players. A lot of them I've run into here. And it's always, Coach, sometimes not nearly often enough we get a chance to be a part of something greater than ourselves.
Right.
And it starts with the belief that we can. And that was in our locker room in 1975. My daughter gave it to me. And it was on a card. And it was there for those 46 years.
Right.
But the kids... But, I'll tell you some foolish things I did.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So,
hey, turn up the speakers.
No. Well, I'll admit to them. One in Kensington and a couple in Princeton, and I probably have to get off.
Oh, yeah, plenty of time.
Anyway, Kensington, they hadn't scored in 5 years.
point period?
5 years?
No.
Oh, geez.
No. 3 kids came to the first practice. You remember that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you told us about that last year. Great story.
In any event, we got 13 kids out.
Wow.
And it was 8-man football.
Yeah.
And we lost our first 3 games. And the 4th game, we were in Villard, Minnesota, which is southwest of Alec.
Yeah.
And we were ahead at halftime. And you didn't go into locker rooms. You went into buses. And the kids were elated. And old Coach Stolski, old Vince Lombardi comes in and says, "That's not good enough. You think that's good enough?" And it took all the air out of those kids, and we lost.
You got a 2-0 lead for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah.
And you pricked the balloon.
You think that's good enough? Yeah.
Wow.
And we lost.
Wow.
Yeah. So there are others there, but a couple Princeton stories that you might enjoy. We had a good run at Princeton, and our biggest rival was Cambridge, with the great George Larson.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that name? Mm-hmm. Well, George, I remember when George welcomed me to the conference. But I had been in Slayton for a year.
Yeah.
And we were playing George, and it was at their homecoming. They hadn't lost a homecoming game in 21 years. And we had a good team, and so did they. They were always good, well coached. Geez, they were. So I got it in my head, we're not going to punt.
Okay.
I didn't tell. I only had a couple of assistants.
Going to go for it every time.
We're not going to punt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So we're over there playing George. And
even if you're back at like the minus 15, minus 20?
It gets there.
Wow.
So it's a back and forth. I mean, it's a tough ball game, and when it's time for us to punt, we fake.
Oh.
And we don't make it.
Oh.
Okay. And it's this and that, and we fake. We fake 5 times and do not make it any of the time.
Oh, come on.
No. But now it's late in the game, and we are up 20-14 somehow. And we're backed up to our own 20. And I'm thinking, George will never think that we're going to fake punt again.
Yeah, a 6th time.
No, he's going to come after it, and we're going to go underneath him. We had a good back named Blasky. Yeah. We fake again and don't make it.
Oh, jeez. How did you get to 350?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But we managed to win the game.
Oh, crazy.
So we meet in the middle of the field, and George looks at me. We shake hands. He says, "You cheated." I said, "Come on, George. You cheated. You're supposed to punt on 4th down."
See, but you were just ahead of the analytics. Because now all the analytics and everything are, if you don't, just never punt, never kick extra points.
You had your win probability added, stuff, all expected points.
One other dumb thing like that.
Yeah. Well, how did you win, by the way? How'd you win 2014?
Well, we had a hell of a defense.
Okay.
And we had a good football team, and so did they. I mean, there's addendums to that, but it's for another.
I got
time.
it.
Anyway, we're at Princeton, and we're playing Brigham, and Brigham is a smaller school than us, but well coached. In fact, the coach was a very good friend of mine. Ended up coaching with us in Brainerd forever. So we had a good team, and we went to Brigham, and at halftime, the score is 0-0. And I am upset. I never screamed at kids, ever. Never.
You're used to that, though, from the Kensington days.
Well, yeah.
One time on the bus.
I just didn't scream.
No, the 0-0.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're in the bus, and I tell our captain, Chet Stevenson, who ended up being a great player, captain at UND. I said, "Chet, I don't want to talk to him. You talk to him." Chet was kind of a quiet guy. He said, "What do you mean, Coach?" I said, "I don't want to talk to him. You talk to him." Well, what should I say? I said, "Say whatever you want. You talk to him." So I stood outside of the bus.
I like that.
And he did what he did. We came off the bus, and I got them together and said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run Power 26 every play. Every play.
What's Power 26?
It was an off-tackle play in the C gap.
Yep.
We had a pretty good. What do you mean every play? Now, isn't this poll? I mean, this is not smart. So we had a back named Jerry Bergeron. We run Power 26.
Wow.
We run Power 26. We run Power 26. We run Power 20. Well, pretty soon someone thinks, should we go left? No, we're running Power 26.
Yeah.
For one down, second, third, it didn't matter. We score. We get a lead 7-0. Then run the kickoff back. And they missed the extra point. We went 7-7.
Oh, that's a spine tingler.
But I mean,
shortly after that, the implementation of the forward pass took place. In Minnesota high school football.
But here in today's day, I think with quote parent influence, and we were never.
That's one way to put it.
We were never bothered by parents,
right?
And I have a reason too, but never. In 58 years, I had 4 phone calls. Period.
Right.
And here's, anyway, in today's day, someone would be at the school board. You got to fire that brainless, right? I mean, sadly,
probably.
But so those are a couple of crazy things that I did.
Well, in knowing you now, and I've met you before, X amount of years ago, but having you on the radio the last few years, getting to hear wonderful stories like that, I also learned something new this year, and it just has come to me. You were Bill Belichick before Bill Belichick was Bill Belichick, and here's why: because for the first time in the 3 years being here, 3-ish years, I heard somebody rip you. You got ripped.
Really?
Yes, Dan O'Brien. Okay, St. Thomas Academy, recently Holy Family. Okay, you got ripped, and here's why: because so you got George Larson claiming you cheated. Okay, so we got a Belichick bent here.
I know it, Dan.
And here's what Dan O'Brien says. Okay, and he coached against you, obviously. I think when you were at Brainerd, right?
He went up to Bemidji.
Okay, and you were at Brainerd, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and he said, well, here's how Ron cheated. Ron Stolski is our guest. He said that he set up the fireworks for after his team scored behind the visitors' bench. So they score, and Ron all of a sudden makes it feel like World War III behind our bench, and the kids got startled. They're going deaf.
Yeah.
They can't hear the play calls. One kid lost a finger, and the problem is he couldn't hold on the snaps.
It is.
So you were Belichick before Belichick.
Yeah,
Ron's on to Cincinnati.
You know how that happened?
Yeah, on to Braham.
Here's how that all happened.
Are you saying Dan lied?
Well, that's his take on it. How's that?
Yes, Ron.
Yeah. We shot fireworks during the anthem, and then one year someone got the idea. Well, how we even started fireworks is there had been the 4th of July big deal there.
They just have been invented.
And there was fireworks in our storage, and the maintenance guy came and said, there are a whole bunch of fireworks. I wonder what we should do. And I don't know if it was my idea or not, but
of course.
somehow they just got shooting.
That's what Belichick said about Deflategate.
Yeah, you just can't get over it.
I was not aware this was happening.
But
no idea who Miss Lewinsky is. Sorry, go ahead.
So then the story on that is we shot him and then someone suggested, well, I didn't. We started shooting him off every touchdown. Well, we had some pretty good nights sometimes.
That's what I hear.
One Saturday morning, I'm downtown Brainerd or somewhere, and an elderly lady says, "You're Coach Stolski, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "You boys had a good night last night. Those fireworks kept me up," she says. So
one hit my grandson.
Yeah, it kind of became a deal, and I
tilted the game, Ron.
Well,
you didn't have to put him behind the visitors' bench.
Well, I didn't.
Denny Green in 93 up in here.
Somehow they got there.
Right. Yeah, it's. I mean, why not blame the principal, the vice president?
But I didn't suggest that they move.
Right.
No, I never thought about
That's
it.
terrific.
Yeah.
You got anything to close? I got one more. Go ahead.
Yeah, just it's interesting to hear some of the things where you talk about mistakes you made. I wonder for you as a coach, the process of learning and going back and saying, yeah, I need to do that different next time. What was that process like for you in your early years of coaching? Just I think about that myself as a coach sometimes. Of how do you grade yourself and get better as a result of it?
Well, I think you end up creating disciples by how you teach and what you believe.
Okay.
And you don't say, you have to do this. Mm-hmm. We created a theme called the Warrior Way. And it was based on 4, 5, 6 principles. Not principles I found. And then it sort of explained, based on respect, this, that. We're going to do the best we can. And I think you endear yourself to your team by a number of things. One, I never set a goal for the team.
Okay.
They did. Our team set 6, 7 goals every year.
Okay. You give them the space to do those.
Yep. After we practice a couple weeks.
Yep.
So now it's your team. It's our team. You turn in, you write 5 or 6 goals. The only caveat is you can only use the word win in 2 of them.
Okay.
Okay. And so, you give them to me. Even though I had a good staff, I compile them. Every year, Ben, and Mr. Allen, every year.
I'm listening.
The number one, I know that.
I'm trying to find the best players in the history of Brainerd football.
There's a lot of them.
Well, I know, but Brett Kramer keeps popping up. Skylar Murray, but go ahead.
No,
yeah. Ken Ebinger.
The number one goal always was become a family.
Okay,
right. And that's not me saying to them. And there's a lot of message in that, as you know.
Yeah.
When you're whatever community, there's a need for that. And the second always was enhance the Warrior Way. And then one would be win the section, and all of that. And then we'd have them we posted them in the locker room, and after every game on Monday. I never practiced on Saturdays. I wanted the kids to fish, hunt, work. Mm-hmm. On Monday, after we'd go over, now how are we doing?
With every one of those.
Yeah, how are we doing? That was really good. And so, in terms of how you learn from your mistake, I don't know. I think passion is a word that's overused a lot, but it is a passion of a coach. You know that.
Yep.
You love the kids.
Yes.
You love writing.
Yep.
I can sense it.
Yep.
And the spirit of the competition. So you learn along the way. Example, Kensington. I had read and voracious trying to learn.
Yeah.
That if you got caffeine, you could at halftime. So I gave the kids black coffee. Yeah, that was our second year. We had about 21 kids out.
Wow.
Black coffee at halftime. Can you imagine what that second half looked like? The kids were just running into the school to go to the toilet.
Yeah. Great third quarter. Then the fourth quarter, they got to go to sleep.
That was really a great idea.
Yeah, right.
It's a diuretic.
So
can confirm.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I think experience it. No, we mentioned earlier, change is constant, compliance is optional. Mm-hmm. And I believed in change only if the research and experience tells you should. A lot of people just sort of want to do it as a coach. So you learn by. I mean, that was a mistake. That was dumb. That wasn't even football. That was just stupid, like some of the things. But I just think coaches by nature are givers, and they want to absorb.
Yeah.
They're doing it here, just chatting and stuff like that. And I think...
And they want to startle kids with fireworks.
Oh, you can't get past that.
That's age old.
Yeah.
Hey, you're awesome. Thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate you, Ron. God bless you and your family. Thank you. Okay?
Yeah,
that's Minnesota High School football coaching immortality with the third most wins of all coaches in the history of Minnesota high school football. That's Ron Stolski. We'll be right back. some of the hallways here at the Doubletree. 9 to noon is in the atrium for the Minnesota Football Coaches Association clinics. And, not to hardcore creep on anybody's computer, but sometimes just things are up and you can just see it.
Sure.
You kind of touched on it earlier. I just think it's super, super cool. I don't know what schools they are. One guy, had a red and black shirt. The other guy had a blue and black shirt. And they're sitting there looking at the same screen.
Yeah.
With what in the business I think they call the cowboy, where you go back and forth with the film.
Yeah.
Or some type of device. And it's linebackers mugging A-gaps.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, here they are coming up, feigning blitz, backing off, feigning blitz, backing off, then another play, same look.
Yeah.
This guy comes.
Yeah.
Another play, different personnel, different gaps.
Yeah.
Feign one play, later in game.
Yeah.
Same look, guy comes.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's not, it maybe it's sharing information, but it's sharpening iron for what these high school coaches do. It's just terrific, man.
It's fun. I mean, you could just, we're sitting here watching it. I mean, people are looking over the same laptop and, hey, I run this. And I'm sure it's, hey, we run this particular blitz package, or this is what we do on third down if we get this. This is how we set our protections, or whatever it is. But, yeah, it's just kind of happening all around us where people are getting together and sharing ideas. I mean, this time of year, nobody's game planning for anybody. So it's how can people help each other be better at what they do? It's just kind of fun to watch it all playing out in front of us.
So when in St. Paul, when they have the track and field coaches association clinics, is it 100 meters, 100 yard? What is it? The shorty.
100 meters.
100 meters, and then we go, 220?
200 meters.
200 meters, then we get up to 4, and then we're at 8. Okay. So when you guys get together and you break down film of that, what are track coaches looking for?
Well, it's a lot of things about
gait?
Training ideas. Yeah, there's stuff on gait. I think sprinters spend a lot of time on how you sprint properly, learning how to put force into the track and how to run fast in efficient manner. There's a lot of discussion about that. They kind of split that into different, because track gets so specialized. With sprinters talk about different things than distance runners, than throwers, than jumpers. So there's different specifics that everybody ends up talking about. I go in the distance rooms, and it's a lot of, here's how we put our training plans together and approaches to strength training for distance runners, which actually is a thing, believe it or not.
Really? Upper body or whole body?
Both.
Yeah.
More so.
I would think lower body, but I'm like, upper body, why?
Well, a lot of it is still being able to help balance your body, and you end up using your arms in a race and trying to change gears late in a race. A lot of your stride is being driven by your back and your shoulders and a lot of those things. So you end up still needing to do strength work. Not getting tired over the course of a race. There's a lot of core development that goes into it too. So you end up talking about a lot of different things. But yes, it is a very similar dynamic to this, where people get out or they linger after a session and, hey, I was noodling on this a little bit. You go up and ask somebody, you were talking about this idea, and tell me a little more about that. And it's in any sport, I think these things happen, but just the idea of people getting together to say, this is something that was successful for me, let me help you, even if you're somebody I compete against, is it's just fun to watch it happen.
Okay, for distance running, how much of not getting tired, obviously, is conditioning.
Yeah.
Strength training can go into it, like you said, about changing gears. But the mental part.
Oh, it's a lot of that.
Well, how does one teach that?
You spend a lot of time with the self-talk that you are, because every thought in your head is, this hurts, I want to stop, when can this be over, this person's about to pass me, if I let them go, it's not that big of a deal. Like, that's going on in your head constantly, because your brain at like a base level is, this feels like I'm in harm. I need to stop doing this. So it's learning to ignore what your brain is telling you in some ways, or just find ways to reframe those thoughts of, yes, this hurts because I'm working hard. I should expect this is going to be difficult because I'm trying to do something better than I've ever done it before. So a lot of the voices in your head are the things that we try to talk to them about. And I think that's probably true in a lot of sports. I mean, I think with teams, and a football team, and we've seen it on sidelines, where if something goes bad, I mean, the Vikings are down 33-0. I remember that clip in quarterback where Kirk Cousins is on the sidelines. I think it was one of those routes Jalen Reagor ran the wrong route and got to the wrong spot, and he gets picked off.
Down inside the 5.
Yeah, and you see O'Connell go over to Cousins and just says, No, don't get frustrated.
Yeah.
Because
that
you can
guy's
see
not going to be on the team in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and Kirk goes like, I'm getting frustrated. But you could see O'Connell's mindset of, if I lose this guy and his mind goes to a place that we can't come back from, that has an effect on the other 52 guys on this team. So, I mean, it's different in an Olympic sport where you're kind of suffering on your own, unless you're in a relay and then everybody else is affected by it. But I think in any sport where you get punched in the mouth, whatever that looks like,
right?
How do I respond to that and not take it as something that just allows me to kind of crumble? That's a lot of the approach, I think.
You ever get at AVHS the wrestling and or basketball coaches at practice?
Yeah,
looking at the high jumpers and the shot putters.
Oh yeah. We have a lot of those things. When we have basketball players that we waited to get for a while because they were in the state tournament for the first time since the Jones brothers came through, so they've come to track now, and we certainly have wrestlers out as well.
Tyus and Trey.
Right on. And then, they just were in the state quarterfinals this year for the first time since then. So, we end up with a lot of kids that come over from different things and kind of do the multi-sport thing like we were talking about with Chad earlier.
Lastly for this segment, then we have one more and we're done. Appreciate you all.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Great job. There could supplemental income. You're not against it, right?
Right.
Okay. This spot probably already is taken. We're at the Indianapolis Scouting Combine every year. You are a 100-meter snob. You are a fast start snob in a 100 or a 40 in the case of the Combine.
Right.
Well, I can't believe everybody's leaving the block or the blocks the way they're supposed to leave.
No, they're not.
Okay, great.
Well, actually writing a story about this right now.
Who are we going to find? I mean, Gil Brandt, God rest his soul, it's not him anymore.
Yeah.
We got to find somebody, and maybe you can teach those how to do it. It's the NFL, man. Yeah. It's not check to check. That could be a lot of money.
Yeah, it's interesting with the 40. I actually was talking about this with a few people at the Combine. I asked Kwesi about it because there are so many ways to measure speed now with all of the tracking data that the NFL has. A lot of big colleges have it. And you'll hear coaches talk about, straight line speed is only valuable a couple of plays a game for a couple of positions.
Right.
If I'm a lineman, why do I care about his 40 time? So, but at the same time, the 40 is the marquee event of the Combine, and everybody spends a lot of time talking about it. Rich Eisen gets out and runs it every year as part of the show.
Yeah.
But it seems less useful in some ways than ever. So
correct.
We see guys where their draft stock rises and falls based on how they do in what amounts to a sprint. And not understanding how to do that is something that can affect your draft stock, but then you spend a lot of time on this specific task that is not really that transferable to a football play. So it's just kind of a fascinating moment for the 40. To me, I was kind of noodling on this at the Combine and probably will still end up doing this story before the draft because we are getting to the point where I would think in 5 years, I mean, the NFL has it. I think colleges that spend the money certainly do, but we're going to be at a point where GPS tracking or the technology to monitor things in the stadium to tell you this guy was going 21 miles an hour when he was going down the field and he broke down at this speed and this angle. I mean, you'll have all of that in the next few years. So what does that change for scouting, for draft evaluation? I think it's just going to be fascinating to watch that and what that means for the Combine probably too.
Ben Gessling, Star Tribune. I'm Paul Allen. Final segment from the Minnesota Football Coaches Association Coaching Clinics next on KFAN.
I can't wait until tomorrow, 'cause tomorrow might very well be too late. I can't wait until tomorrow.
That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
And thank you for aiding 9 to noon in a pinch.
My pleasure. It's been a lot of fun.
Have you ever done anything like this?
Doing the whole show like this?
Well, no, the high school football coaches and just there's the whole aura, the whole vibe.
Yeah, it's just been fun to talk with different people. I mean, we've had college coordinators, we've had high school coaches, we've had Chad Greenway, just people at different levels of
Texas
the game.
State champions.
Yeah, it's just been fun to hear people and their stories of how they impact kids and how they go about their programs. It's been fun to learn. You learn a lot.
Kara's going to bring good times in here any second, so let's go fast with this. Yeah. When you're at Palm Beach next week for the owners' meetings, the kickoff bid.
Yeah.
Taking touchbacks up to the 35, and taking the kickers maybe back to the 30.
Yeah.
Do you think that has legs?
I think it does. I mean, I think they have to figure something out because this has to be approved full time. They did it on a 1-year trial basis last year. And if you don't approve it, I think you go back to the old rule, not the one they used last year. So I think this will be something that gets moved along. I think it'll pass, and we'll see it probably go to the 35 this year.
We will call you next week if you have time.
Good.
Okay,
I'll be there from Palm Beach.
That's Ben Gessling. I'm Paul Allen. Thank you, Kara Savage, Jared Wells, and Dan O'Brien here at the DoubleTree for facilitating the wonderful guests. And I'm Paul Allen. The program's around the corner. Have a great weekend. May God bless all of you.